Hey folks, welcome back to DCS. By common request, we're in the Skyhawk today. Some good news, some bad news for the Skyhawk. Good news, it was recently updated a little bit, although honestly, the only thing I've noticed is that it's a bit easier to handle on the ground now. It taxis a little bit more controllably. The wheels lock up less often, it turns at higher speeds, that kind of thing. On the downsides, the contention server is going to be removing it. I think they already have removed it, actually, because it doesn't interface with the spawn system very well, and it kept bugging out with the EWR. I was trying to fly it over there the other day, and my EWR reports weren't showing up, so I didn't know where anyone was. I had to literally find people via the Mark 1 eyeball. Got team killed a few times because I must have looked like an SU-27, although that's a separate problem. But then apparently it wasn't appearing on anyone else's EWR reports either, so whilst I was worried that I didn't know where anyone was, they didn't know where I was either. So it kind of balanced out, but because of that, contention have removed it. The other thing, and this is arguably worse news but not really as related to the Skyhawk, the Shadow Reapers servers are going offline by the end of this month. I don't know why. People are speculating that it's something to do with the Iran and Israel conflict that's going on at the moment, but I don't know. I don't know the server operator personally, but I have seen the post that he put on the Discord server. Anyway, all that to one side. We are flying the Skyhawk. We're on Heatblur's Cold War server today. The reason I'm on Heatblur's server is because DCS is actually a really difficult multiplayer game to generate footage for if you have a specific aim in mind. So normally what happens is I'll just play casually, and if something cool happens, I'll make a video out of it. It's quite rare that I'll have an idea and then I go and try and generate footage to actually make the video that way around. It's like my creative style is the inverse of that, and the reason is because DCS doesn't really work if you do it that way around, because there's two ways of playing DCS. You can forcibly play the thing that you want to play and like damn whatever else is going on, or you can play something that's befitting of the situation at hand that benefits your team and actually enjoy yourself. And what I had been doing, trying to get Skyhawk footage for the last 3 weeks, was flying it in a situation where it wasn't very capable, i.e. every server apart from Heatblur's, and it was going rubbish and I was just getting really wound up and upset about it. So we're on Heatblur's server because there's lots of little pockets of stuff to shoot out on the floor. We know exactly what's there and what the risks are, and we can just go and do it whenever, even if there's no one in the server. And I actually hopped in this server when it was empty, and my presence actually generated other people showing up, because lately it's basically just been a dead server. But as it happens, if you jump in and you get busy and you do shit, then people will join and do the same. So as a Skyhawk sandbox, Heatblur's Cold War server is an excellent place to go. So we're up in the air, we're going to skip ahead to our first engagement. We are carrying 8 Zuni rockets and 2 Mark 83s. There are a million outposts at the moment, an insane amount of them. We have the bombing computer on, and we're going to dive in and try and get 2 outposts in one pass. So using the labs system, we've done this before. You just aim at the target you want to kill, you hold the trigger down, and then you gently pull up, and the bomb will automatically release at the right time. And we can do this twice in one pass because we came in from a very high angle. We were able to sweep the nose over 2 targets in passing. Looks like the second one was a little bit more on target than the first, but we can now go back around and mop up the remainders using the Zunis. So it looks like the barracks building survived from the first group, so we'll get quite close since there's nothing that can shoot us. I do accidentally fire 2 instead of 1. My joystick is actually getting quite old. I've changed the base since I initially got it, but I actually bought this second hand off a subscriber when I was still playing War Thunder, and he had had it for about 10 years, so my Warthog stick is actually almost 20 years old now. It's pushing 16, 17, and the pickle button is just wigging out a little bit. So sometimes when I'll press it, I think it registers me like pressing it and then releasing and then repressing it. And sometimes it's almost like having a macro trigger, you know, from like the console FPS days when you could make a semi-auto gun firing full auto. That's basically what happens with my my bomb button, and I was flying the Viper the other day, and I accidentally fired 6 aim-9s at a very unfortunate man because of this pickup button problem. So I've actually bound the pickup button to my spacebar since then, and at some point I will be changing the stick. Probably going to get another Viper style, Warthog style one, but maybe with some extra buttons on it. Open to recommendations if you have any. So it looks like that last rocket run did absolutely nothing. We've got 4 left, I think. You kind of have to just peer out the window to know your ammo count in the Skyhawk. That looked like a pretty good run. And that noise is the RWR kicking off because something is tracking me, probably a shellcat. Although I never actually see one shoot at me. There's also a few hostiles closing in to within 30 miles, so I'm currently just trying to get rid of all these rockets ahead of them arriving, because I really don't want to be dogfighting when I'm still laden with ground ordnance, because I really hate wasting stuff. I will always try and dogfight people with stuff still on my plane before I jettison it as a last resort. So this is probably going to be our last run, or second to last run perhaps. Yeah, last run. So from here we're going to ditch the pods. Now you can jettison the pods using the actual jettison select, but then you have to do each wing individually. Another way of doing it is to just switch your weapon panel to the right side position, I forget what it's called now. And then when you pull the pickup button, it just jettisons the entire pod instead of firing any rocket out of it. And then we can jettison the pylons individually, just to get rid of the extra drag. So 21 miles we've got a Mirage, 24 miles we've got a MiG-21, 33 miles we've got another Mirage. Fuel is still looking pretty good. We're pushing 2,000 pounds, which is actually quite a lot for the Skyhawk. We're just going to loiter at altitude until this Mirage gets a little bit closer. So he's now within about 4 miles. We're on the deck. We used all of our altitude to translate it into speed, and when I see him, the plan was going to be to pull up and over vertically. But he actually passes me by without him seeing me, and I'm struggling so hard to see him right now because he's so low. I would normally turn around using the vertical, as I said, but because I don't want to lose viz, I'm flat turning. And flat turning is bad for me because I'm a delta wing and I don't have an afterburner. My top speed is extremely low. If I turn too hard, I shit my speed away in a matter of seconds. So I actually pulled around really gently, and we're going to go vertical on this merge instead of the first one. Not quite as advantageous as it would have been if we'd done it the first time because we're slower now. But if he's still very, very fast, then we might be able to make it work. Especially if he's going to be the kind of person that tries to turn fight with me. So it's just going to make him very slow. And it looks like he is one such person. So I've actually started to lower my landing flaps right now, and I'm kind of hoping to just sort of pirouette around him as he bleeds all his speed away. And I was really hoping that I'd get the shot here as he crossed the nose, but because the roll is so damn twitchy on this thing, I didn't trust myself, and you don't get a lot of ammo, so I didn't want to spray. And then there is another one now coming in within about 9 miles, so I'm actually going to just fire a 9B on this guy. So I really don't want to be gunfighting 2 Mirages. Not sure why he didn't even try and flare. I think he must have thought that he'd open a lot more separation a lot quicker than he did. The Skyhawk really catches a lot of people off guard. So next Mirage is 8 miles away now, and he isn't hot. He hasn't been consistently hot this whole time, so I think he's probably tangled up with a teammate. So we'll see if we can help the teammate out, whoever they are, when we eventually get viz. There they are. Looks like a Phantom. Mirage is the high guy. Phantom looks defensive. Very bad place for a Phantom to be. He is quite annoyingly turning into me. I don't think he's doing it on purpose, he won't know that I'm here, but it makes it very difficult to get a shot. They're actually both very slow, so I'm going to use the vertical to help me slow down, and then the Phantom goes into the vertical as well. Makes it even harder for me to pull around. If he had flat turned, I could have probably ended this here and there, but it was not to be. They're getting slow in the vertical. I need to get slow, so I'm going to go vertical too, but then I worry that I won't recoup the speed as quickly as they do, so I kind of pull back down a little bit sooner. Might get a shot here. Did actually get some connecting hits there, and it seems to have been enough to make the Mirage switch targets onto me. Can't quite make out where the Phantom went to. I don't know if the F1 landed any hits on him or not. But I'd say our energy states are pretty equal here. I'm diving to recoup speed. Reversing my turn. I'm slightly worried he'll get a missile shot off on me, so I go into the vertical just because God's G can help me turn around faster, and when you've only got 9 Bs to worry about, the quicker you can get your engine pointing away from where they are, then the less chance there is that they'll manage to even get towed in the first place. The Mirage F1 was also updated lately so that you actually can fire missiles without tone. You used to be able to just hold the button down and when it got tone it would launch and track, but since they changed it, that's not the case anymore. This Mirage is just staying low, flat turning on the deck, not managing his energy very well, so we've managed to come around on him. I wasn't really expecting this missile to hit, but it really does look like it gives it a good go. I can't tell whether he defeats it kinematically or if it's the flares that do it, but the panic that set him into made him pull really hard, and we basically have this guy energy trapped now. You see how I'm climbing and then diving through the turns rather than just flat turning, because that would bleed all my speed off. The climb and the dive through helps me keep the speed, and even though he's in burner, I'm actually holding with him completely fine. We're actually catching him even though I don't have an afterburner. I'm just an epoxy little ground attacker. He does that very annoying jinky thing. I almost give him a shot here. That was very dumb for me. And then the Phantom finally shows back up and finishes him off. And you know what? I'm not even mad because I did step in to save that guy in the first place, so it seems fitting that he'd be the guy that mopped him up. At this point, I don't have any missiles left, a tiny bit of gun ammo, but otherwise we've just got about £1,000 of fuel left to get back to base, so in passing, we'll see if we can strafe some soft targets on the way back. I tend to use HE belts in the A4, just because they seem to do better than combat mix against aircraft. Can't really tell what I'm looking at here, but that second thing looks a bit squidgy, like a half track or a BTR 152 or something. Doesn't seem to do anything, but there is a truck there off of the T stalk of the barracks, and there's a watchtower and some other soft stuff down there. It's kind of difficult to keep track of everything at once, so I'm just going to dive in and shoot at whatever looks squidgy. That was a truck, that thing that we shot at, and then there's another truck here. We did just get hit quite a lot of times. We did manage to take 2 trucks down with us though, but it's done some sort of damage to the engine. I mean, it still works, we're not losing fuel, but the engine RPM just keeps fluctuating up and down. The fuel flow is bugging out. Sometimes it maxes out, which I've never seen it do. So it's very bad for speed and for fuel economy. And I think there was some wing damage as well because we're kind of listing to the left and not having to combat it constantly. But we do actually make it back to base without much bother. The only thing is that because I can't actually go idle throttle anymore, it like constantly keeps pushing the RPM of the engine up and down by like 15 to 20%. So I have to manage my closure here quite well, because if I go idle throttle and then I'm getting into that perfect AOA state and I need throttle to maintain it, then I can't fine tune my throttle because it's constantly fluctuating. So I actually intentionally come in quite hot without using throttle, without needing throttle, and I'm just going to lower the flaps gradually as we get closer and increase the AOA as the flaps come down, just so it kind of one thing balances out the other. We end up landing very slightly fast, but you know what, I'm quite happy with that. And that's the end of the video, folks, so I hope that's scratched your Skyhawk itch. I actually do genuinely love this thing. It is quite sad that Contention aren't supporting it anymore, and that we've lost Shadow Reapers, which was another good place to bring it out, so the Heatless Cold War server really is the only place you can make use of this thing anymore. But I think it might actually be the only place that I've ever made a video on it anyway, so as far as my content goes, it's probably not going to make a huge amount of difference. Let me know what you want to see me fly next. I'm going to be looking into the 90s Fox 3 meta of the contention server after this, I think. And I've also got the Crystal Super to review at some point. Here I was just trying to see if there was any external damage to be seen, but there isn't an external damage model for the Skyhawk, so it just looks outwardly completely fine. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, folks, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.